Hi, I'm Steph from Hofkissed, and I'm throwing a live Facebook event tonight to go over the June paper pumpkin kit. I'm not necessarily going over the kit itself, but all the alternative projects that I was able to make with it. This was the kit. You got 6 cards and envelopes and banner, and the idea was to wrap the banner, I don't know if you can see in my light, the banner around the card. And you, for instance, would make a happy and they would unwrap it and it would say happy birthday. And then they get the banner and the card. Super cute. And I did make one banner that I'm going to post on my blog tomorrow. I'm not going to show it to you today. And then I just did up the card just with one banner on it. Did a little stamping. Didn't wrap it around to close it. You open it and it goes through on the inside. So that was my alternative, and although this is super cute and I love paper pumpkin, I'm not much into banners, and I always like to take paper pumpkin a little bit further and show you all the different things that you can do with the kit. So for one thing, in the kit you got 2 super awesome gold metallic self-adhesive letters. You got 2 sheets of those. And one of my new subscribers said, hey, there's not enough letters to do happy 6 times because you only get 2 H's on a sheet. So you get 4 H's and so on and so forth. And so when I got the letters out and I took a look at it and thinking, how can I take this a little bit further and how can I make suggestions for her? So the first thing I noticed is that there's a good 1/4 inch on either side of these sheets. And I said, hey, that's a lot of gold extra foil, so I trimmed those off. And so I got 4 strips just like this, and you're going to see how I use those on upcoming projects. Next, you might have seen on my Instagram post earlier today that I cut all the letters into strips. So then I took my trimmer and I cut it along there. And I promised that I would explain to you why I did that. And you're going to see in just a few moments. So this is another full card that I did, and this is why I cut my letters into strips, is because you can take your letters even further. You can essentially get double the amount of letters if you cut it into strips and then cut them out like this. You use the negative. So you get both the positive letter and then you cut them out such as this, and you get the negative, and so you get twice as many letters. So if you wanted to do 6 happy banners, you can do it using this method. So this was just another simple card, the full card that I used. Did a little bit of stamping, and I know that stamp didn't come in the kit, but this is how you take your kit even further. I just used some bubble wrap, temporarily adhered it to my clear block, inked it up, and got an awesome background stamp this way. So I did that. I glued on my letters, tied some twine, and frayed the ends, and you get a totally different card from the kit. Isn't that awesome? So those are the only 2 full cards that I did up, but I'm going to show you several other cards that I did using pieces from the kit. And one of the things that I talk a lot about in classes and specifically to my Paper Pumpkin subscribers are Stampin' Up's note cards and envelopes. They are so awesome. We carry them in Whisper White and Crumb Cake. You get 20 cut and scored cards and envelopes per color. And I suggest this because it's just quick and easy. You don't need a whole lot of extra pieces to do that, and you always have these cards on hand so that when you get your stamp set and your ink color every month, you can make a few extra cards or take the pieces from the kit and easily apply them to the cards. So that's the first thing that I did for my next cards coming up. The other thing I did is I always like to see what else I can create using the pieces from Paper Pumpkin, and sometimes that involves cutting up the pieces. So you get these cards and you get these envelopes, and yes, I cut them down. So the first one, and I have to commend Stampin' Up for printing both front and back, because it really helps when you want to take your kit even further. And I think it's really awesome, and I don't know if they do it because of that, but I like it. So what I did is I just cut right here on the score line, so I had one flat sheet. And then what I did was I scored that in half, which was 2 3/4 in half, and I got this really adorable card. I know it's probably backwards in the video, but this is H&B for happy birthday. It's a cute little card. Wrap some twine around. Perfect size for a gift card. And a little note for a birthday. Attach it to a gift or a bottle of wine or something. And you might be thinking, oh, but there's no envelope. Well, yes, there is, because I also cut down one of the envelopes and made a little cute enclosure. I made a new little tab, did some washi tape, and there you go. You got a little note card and an envelope. Now the next cards, and you're going to see some of the blue, and that would be the other part of the envelope that I then cut up to use on the next few cards. And for these cards, I used the note cards and envelopes to take the kit even further. So this is the first card that I made. This blue is a piece of an envelope. No other tools required. All I did was scrunch it up. Gives it a lot of texture on the card. I cut a little piece. This strip here are one of those end pieces that I cut off the letters before I cut them into strips, and I just flagged those. And then I did some fussy cutting, and again, because they're in strips, I was able to easily cut out the negative part of the star, or around the star. I used the star there, and then a couple on the inside also. And if you didn't know, in Paper Pumpkin you get photopolymer stamps, and photopolymer stamps are very, very flexible and pliable, and so you can curve them. So what I did was I curved it onto a clear black, inked it up, and was able to stamp it on the circle. The next card uses another piece of that envelope that I cut up. And you might think, hey, this didn't come in the stamp set either. But I used the negative of all those circle pieces that you punch out that you may or may not have already thrown in the garbage, but I don't consider these pieces garbage. So what I did was I laid it on, used a sponge and my ink, and I sponged it on to get a little bit of a background. These dots are in the kit, and then I just adhered some of the sequins on there and have this super cute baby shower card. The next card also uses pieces from the envelope. I just freehand cut some hearts. I crinkled them up again to give them a little bit of texture, and this one's actually popped up off the card. This was an anniversary card. I used some of the washi tape to add a little bit of pattern and some color. This piece is part of the other half of the card that I cut up. I just cut out one of these stripes here, which became a banner, and so it's an anniversary card. There you go. And this one uses one of the last pieces from the envelope on the side here, just to give a little bit of color and fun texture, was the flap of the envelope. Nothing goes to waste when I cut up my paper pumpkin. So I glued that on, added a little bit of twine, used the thanks that I used on that first card. I used the outline of it, and here I used the inside. And you might be looking at this and say, hey, that didn't come in the stamp set either. But that is your clear black. So you get, in your first kit, you get a D block. Right now they come rounded. But all I did was I took my ink and I smeared it on there. And then I used that to add some texture to the background. And then I used that dotted stamp again to stamp around, and did a little bit of stamping on the inside. Now this next card is a little bit abstract, but this is another thing that I've done in the past too, is I use my ink spots here, and you can kind of paint or draw with them, depending, you know, if you use the end, or you can stamp squares like that. And so this is the card that I made. First I punched out one of those circles and I traced it on there and then did this kind of abstract flower. For the center, I just dabbed my ink on there and again drew a stem, used the negative piece for high. And I did cheat a little bit. These little dots are not from the kit, but I did punch them from the gold foil adhesive using, excuse me, my small hole punch. And lastly, and this is, oh no, I have two more projects to show you. I'm going to show you this one first. I thought, you know, these little banners, if I'm not making banners, could be little treats also. And I don't know if they're food safe, so I put in, happen to have some Lifesavers wrapped up in just a little bit, and it's just a fun little, I don't know, I was just playing around with that. But if you have extra banner pieces now, that might be an idea for you. And then lastly, I have one last card to show you before I disappear. I was looking at these circles for these garbage pieces again, and I said, hey, you have sequins, you have circles, let's make a shaker card. So first I tried cutting out one of these circles, and that didn't quite work. But I looked at the circles here, and I looked at the washi tape that comes in the kit, and the washi tape inner circle is a little bit smaller than this circle. So what I did on the back of the card that I cut up at the beginning, I took a little piece and I traced this circle, and then I traced the inner part of the circle, and I cut it out. And then I grabbed my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I grabbed one of the triangle pieces, and I cut the triangle piece and I glued it so you have a window. Imagine this piece is cut out. And I took my Stampin' Dimensionals, and you use this edge piece and you cut little slits in it, not all the way through, but you cut little slits so that it becomes bendable. And you bend this all the way around the circle to make an enclosure. You punch out one of these other circles, and that's going to become the base. And this is the cute little shaker card that I made. I did a little bit of stamping on this piece. It's a little balloon. This bottom part of the balloon, I just cut off a corner of one of these pieces, added a little bit of twine, and stamped happy birthday. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I've given you some great ideas and how to take your paper pumpkin kit further. It's something that I love to do, and just try to be a little bit different. I'm going to post all the projects on my blog tomorrow. This is my blog address here, and I'll have a little bit more detail. And thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.